We welcome you to another edition of the Giants Training Camp Report, brought to you by Investors Bank. Day 3 of practice for the New York Football Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion, Carl Banks. And Carl, Joe Judge mentioned earlier today as he was dealing and addressing the media that the goal here is to keep getting the conditioning up, get the rhythm up, because next week this team goes into pads.
Well, and this is what you want. Like, you have a system in place, Bob, but you want to get the body conditioned to carry the pads. And what he's really saying is when they put pads on, they're going to really practice. Not a team that's going to have pads on and do the walkthroughs. He's going to have full contact.
All right, we're going to take a look at some drills during the course of this show today and kind of take you inside the lines and explain exactly what's going on. And a lot of these drills, Carl, are things that have been done for years and years and years.
Yeah, they're drills that have been done for years and years, but the emphasis that they put on, you can see here, as they work on footwork, they're trying to get the ball out. They're working on ball security as well. And this is about teaching, Bob, focusing now. They got 2 footballs in their hands, so you just can't focus on one. These are little things that you try to embed mentally into the guys who handle the football so that they secure it with both hands.
And does it have them stepping over the pads or running over the pads, like to sort of jog the eye level a little bit?
Well, it does all the above. It jogs the eye level, but it makes you focus on the whole operation, if you will. Footwork, ball security, and not one over the other.
One of the things that Joe Judge has instituted since becoming the head coach of the New York Giants, a lot of fast pace in training camp. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. They go from one drill to another pretty quickly. Not that other teams don't do that, but he's trying to create a certain tempo and mindset with his team.
Well, everything is with pace, meaning you want to have a sense of suddenness. You always want to be in perpetual motion, and that's part of the conditioning as well.
Carl, this is, we're on the second to last day of July, and, having come to training camps in New Jersey or whether the Giants were in Albany, I can't remember an end of July with cool temperatures, wind is blowing, and low humidity. I mean,
no humidity, not low, no humidity.
It's like a coach's nightmare for camp.
It absolutely is, and I'm sure in Florida somewhere it's hot and humid. Here, you've got an October day.
All right, so the Giants offensive players, now they're working the ladders, and again, it's about footwork. It's about being quick because, listen, everybody's got fast times, but really when you get to this level of any professional sport, it's about quickness.
It's function with your quickness, because you can be a drill Olympian, if you will. You can do these drills and make it look like, the best thing in the world, but if you don't finish it with a catch, is what they're doing here, getting the footwork and then finishing with a catch, not a drop.
I got to look at some of the linemen working on pass rush moves and, just trying to get themselves ready. Joe Judge talked about this man, Danny Shelton, the former first-round draft pick, who's been with a bunch of different teams, but he talked about the condition that he's in and the work ethic that he brings to the table. This is a guy that's been with winning programs, and Judge just could not talk enough about Danny Shelton earlier today.
Danny Shelton is a big man. I mean, and he's a guy that you can put in the middle of your defensive line, and he can two-gap and allow your athletes around him to be more athletic and just be more impactful.
All right, so what are they working on here, Carl, as far as
this is hands and hips explosion, and then on the third one, you're finishing to the quarterback. This is just all explosion, getting separation. And the thing about this 34 defense that Coach Graham runs, you've got to play 2 gaps. So you got to have complete extension so that you can go left to right.
All right, now DBs, obviously, working on breaking on the ball, breaking on routes. Just talk us through what's happening right here.
Looks like they're going for the safety position and breaking on the quarterback, reading the quarterback's eyes, breaking to a point, an intersect point.
And Carl, it's really all about repetition, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about being able to sort of get your mind and your body in sync.
But it's all functional drills here, Bob. These are all things that they're going to be doing during the course of a game, taking your reminder steps. You see they have a receiver, and all they're doing is breaking from midfield to a break point to intersect with the receiver and the football. So everything is functional. A lot of times it would be just break and run to an area. Now you see a guy, you see where the ball's going to go, and now you got to intersect with it.
And you saw Logan Ryan, number 23, veteran player, was the receiver, and he was just pointing out a little bit of technique as far as breaking on the ball. It's about veterans imparting wisdom on young players.
Yeah, just helping them understand the better you can get the guys around you, the better your team is as a unit. Because inevitably, players go down. It could be for a series of play, and he could be the next man up. So you've got to embed or instill in these guys the same fundamentals that you're expected to play with as a starter.
So now they're working on pass breakup here, right, Carl? Where, a receiver's got the ball but had to knock it out to cause an incomplete.
Right, okay, so if we look at this, you'll see they're going to the upfield shoulder, not the backfield shoulder. The reason is upfield shoulder. If you go for the backfield shoulder and you miss, he turns it up. So they're going across the front of the body. You can see here how he goes across the front. So that there's no, if he misses, the guy turns it up and runs for a touchdown. Now, if he misses, the receiver runs over his body and he's still in a position to make the tackle.
Yeah, and for people that are watching this and you watch football practice, it's these little things, just these small little things. I remember Joe Judge talking about last year how much they coached players on just how to fall down.
Yeah.
And how to recover fumbles. Remember he talked about a technique that they really focused on last year. As we take you back to the D-line, and they're going to work through a series of different drills. We're going to get a peek as to kind of what they're zeroing in right now. And you know what? They're getting all fired up. They're working on the pregame routine, too.
Yeah, or a Madden clip or something. It looks like if it was a 4K camera on them, it looked like a scene from Madden. There's Nate Solder. Sure, he's happy to be back with his teammates.
All right, so Andrew Thomas, there he is, number 78 for the New York Giants. What's the accomplishment or the goal of this drill here? This Pat Flaherty, the offensive
This is second-level blocking in space. You normally see the offensive lineman and a defensive lineman right in front of them. This is getting to the next level and getting your position and your body to cut off the defender. So you'll see him take an angle, run to the next level, and cut off. There's Jackson Barton there. Now he's got to get his hips a little lower there and sit down. And you can see the coaches telling him when you get there, sit down. It's too high.
Jackson Barton acquired from waivers from Kansas City, number 72 last year. And what about Andrew Thomas and the learning lessons from last year? I mean, he was thrust to the left tackle spot. As you see, Pat Flaherty, who was a part of Tom Coughlin's staff for many years, has been a very successful offensive line coach, now helping out with the offense as a senior consultant. But what are you expecting from Andrew Thomas this year?
I think this entire offensive line, this young group, is going to take an appreciable step, Bob, because what normally happens with offensive linemen, they have to see it before they can be good at it. This team got thrown in there. All of their young players saw it from some of the best in the business. They played against the Rams. They played against the Chicago Bears. They played against the Washington football team. All teams with really good defensive fronts, and they got a chance to see it. They know what the tempo is like now. They'll be better as individuals and as a group.
And Carl, we're seeing a little cross-training here, right, with Andrew Thomas, because we know that he played the left side all last year, but in some of these drills, they have him on the right side.
Well, yeah, look, the versatility is the name of the game if you're an offensive lineman and you've got a skill set that will allow you to do it. And that's the beautiful part about it. Like, when you get these guys and they start projecting, those outside of the organization start projecting where they're going to fit. Well, in Joe Judge's system, they project you fit everywhere because you were drafted to be an offensive lineman. And wherever your skill set can lend itself beyond your core competency, that's where they're going to put you.
You know, and you saw number 82 there, Kaden Smith, one of the Giants' tight ends. That's an area, Carl, that we watched last year and we focused in on a little bit last year during the course of the season. They've got to be more consistent at the tight end position in run blocking. Obviously, adding a guy like Kyle Rudolph when he's healthy, that's going to be a big addition. Kaden Smith is more of that blocking style tight end, but they've got to be more sound in that role.
Well, they do, and I'm sure they'll get a lot of help, Bob, with having Saquon back because you don't have to hold blocks as long, and defenders will start to guess a little bit. But fundamentally, they do have to be better in their technique at run blocking, and health is another issue too because Kaden was out some. So you get those guys healthy, they give you size and athleticism.
Carl, I know one of the things that over the years has always really annoyed you is when there's backside on a run play, and that's something I know Joe Judge and his staff want to tighten up. Last year there was too much penetration from the backside.
Yeah, the one thing that'll drive your offensive line crazy is the guys at the point of attack block it perfectly. The back thinks he's got pay dirt, right? And all of a sudden you get these two guys coming off of a lazy block because the guy didn't decide to cut off, and then it becomes like, oh, tackled from the backside for a loss. Not even for a 2-yard gain. If you don't seal the guy off on the back, you're going to end up having a loss instead of a minimal gain.
Daniel Jones going through his preparation, and obviously we've talked about it, 2 days ago on the first show, and it's going to be a constant theme, but probably he's got the personality, right? It's very low-key, kind of flatline kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these expectations are going to get to him.
No, and let's be clear here. This is not a quarterback with marginal talent. He's got good arm talent. He's got a good command of the game as a quarterback. And, if you want to listen to the narrative, you think you're dealing with a guy who was a journeyman. He is a guy deserving of the place he was picked. And here's the other benefit that he has. He has 10 in the building. Eli Manning is in the building now. So if they want to have sidebars, if he needs a calming presence or someone to help him understand the game, how he should see it in certain situations, he's got the perfect mentor in Eli Manning. And I'm not saying that Eli's going to be in his locker every week, but he's in the building. If you need it, he's going to be there for him.
So getting a little work in with the tight ends, and obviously, this group is going to be a key part to this offense. We've talked about Evan Ingram and, that sort of feeling that Giants fans have because, Evan Ingram is a guy that really can flash at you. He could show you a lot of great things, and then sometimes he just leaves you wanting more. There's Austin Mack making a catch for the Giants. But, consistency, I think, is what they're really looking for.
Yeah, this is it. Again, we talked about it 2 days ago when I said Evan Ingram is the guy who makes plays you can't live with, and then he makes plays that you can't live without. And he's got to become consistently as that guy that you can't live without.
All right, Carl, what is the purpose of this drill as Logan Ryan and the DBs are working with the pad?
Well, number one, hand placement, but just contact. You see so often in the league, Bob, where guys lined up in press coverage, and they don't press.
Yeah.
You might as well have their hands tied behind their back, and you can see that they're putting an emphasis on making contact, left hand, right hand, two hands, meaning that if you're going to do it with one hand, that means you're trying to turn the wide receiver one way or the other. So you're going to allow, on this, you're going to allow an inside release, and now you're going to shove him with your outside hand inside. So you got to be strong independently or ambidextrously with each hand. You've got to have equal strength in terms of how you place your hands.
Now we take you over to the linebackers. All right, Carl, obviously you dealt with these kind of drills your whole career. What are they trying to accomplish here?
Well, you got Carter Coughlin there. They're looking at, it's probably going to be fit, what we call fit. Oh, no, that's off the ground, meaning you were knocked down on the ground. You got to get up and pursue the football. So it's saying, not saying block. If you fall down, if you get blocked down, you got to get up and pursue the ball carrier.
These are some of the little things that obviously transpire each and every day. And we talk about the repetition and making sure that, all these things almost, by the time you get to the end of camp, you want all this stuff to be instinctive, right? So if you're called for man press, your first instinct isn't to retreat and start covering. Your first instinct has got to be what you just worked on, right? And get a punch.
Your first instinct is when they call it instinct, that's exactly what it is. It's second nature. So when they call press, there's no thought. You're expected to when they press, you better get hands on somebody because that's how you were trained to do it.
Coach Joe Judge talked earlier today about Kenny Golladay and the professionalism that he brings. He says we have no prima donnas on this team. He loves the attitude of the players and sort of the way they go about their work. And, the Giants have kind of overturned their roster and changed it over. This is year 2 with Joe Judge as head coach. And they're bringing in players not unsimilar to what Bill Belichick has done in New England. You bring in players that can accept your style of coaching. And it's a waste of time to bring guys in that aren't going to accept it.
Right. Here's the thing, Bob. It's talent, but it's also character and the type of player you want. It makes no sense if you get a guy who's an incredible football player but can't be coached, complains all the time, and can't adapt to your system, then he's not the guy for you. And I think one of the most interesting things that I learned this offseason was just the interview process. Players being able to interview coaches, coaches interviewing players to make sure it is a fit. And I think that's the right way to go about it. When you want to bring a talent into your system, aside from just talking to that player, have that player ask me some questions. What do you want to know? Interview me, because I want to make sure you like it here as much as I want you to be here.
Fullback Eli Penny catching a little wheel route. And Carl, this is such an important part of what you need offensively, and that's making sure that your backs can be an outlet for your quarterback.
Well, here's the thing too, Bob. You notice you got fullbacks that are running these go routes, which means as a fullback, you're not a blocker in this system. You're a football player in this system. So you're going to have to be able to do everything that you're called on to do. They want to emphasize versatility. They want to be multiple on offense. They don't want to be predictable. So they want guys to be able to do multiple things whenever called upon. There's Austin Mack.
Yeah, on special teams, obviously, is going to be a big factor for these players. Nice little over-the-shoulder one-hand catch there by C.J. Board. We're going to take you back over to the defensive side of the ball as you get a look at the Quest Diagnostics Training Center and the multiple fields that they have, the grass fields here. And again, zeroing in on Danny Shelton and working his way around the pads. Did you have a favorite drill, Carl, in training camp? Was there one drill that you really were always fired up about?
No. The break. No, I think 7-on-7 was always a great drill for us as linebackers because we got a chance to move in space and mess with the receivers' heads a little bit. That's when the trash talk starts. But see, these are all defeat the guy, turn the corner, finish. That's what this is. So at the point of attack, you defeat. Now you're turning the corner, now you're finishing. So it's the complete process as a pass rusher. You get past the guy or you get a shoulder, you turn. Once you turn, then you got to finish. You remember, there was the big thing with Leonard Williams coming into this Giant organization is he could never finish. He got close but could never finish. Now, last year, you could see he finished quite a bit. So Aziz Ojulari there, he was a little stiff coming around the corner there. But these are the things you want to work. Get your feet, hands, and hips in position to finish the complete operation because at the pro level, it's a lot different than college. So you got to finish the entire process because you won't get just straight ahead runs at a quarterback where you just beat the guy and now you're running straight to the quarterback. You've got to overcome some obstacles.
All right, there's Dexter Lawrence, obviously with Dalvin Tomlinson moving on. Important for Dexter Lawrence to step up. Obviously, here's Leonard Williams, who was huge for the Giants last season. Really Joe Judge and the coaching staff just raved about his leadership, his production, and the production that you got out of him that didn't even translate into numbers for his own stat sheet.
Yeah, because he impacts the game so much. And we looked at times where he was just eating up blockers and pressuring the quarterback in or out of the pocket. So he helps other players around him. That's the impact that goes unnoticed.
Obviously, this is day 3 of practice. The big thing is getting ready for pads next week. I just want to go to the offensive line because when Joe Judge spoke with the media earlier today, he was asked about Shane Lemieux, who was carted off yesterday with some type of knee injury. Joe Judge, and, the coaches don't talk about injuries, but he did say, we're relieved that the worst case scenario is not in play. And in fact, he said Lemieux's already lobbying him to get back on the field, but until he's medically cleared, he ain't getting back out there. But I guess, when the coach says the worst case scenario has been avoided, that's good news.
Well, yeah, that means that he would be lost for an extended amount of time, and there's probably surgery required. So if he's lobbying to get back on, then it wasn't that serious.
Said he was in my office. He was like a bear in a trap, just anxious to kind of get things going. And Daniel Jones and the offense are going to go to work here, Carl. They've got Solder on the left side. Will Hernandez moves over from the right side. Excuse me, I had that backwards. I got Solder on the right side. Let's see. So on the left side, they've got Kenny Wiggins as they huddle up. So a little look at what the Giants are doing. They've got Hernandez in there, and they got him on the right side with Solder. So Wiggins is at the left guard spot where Lemieux would be. And Carl, what are they doing here as far as, because I know they don't want people on the ground.
Yeah, this is all about run fits, Bob, and getting that, I call it the avalanche effect, just getting the line moved all in the same direction so you can see they get the push, the bodies are in the right position, and they just keep going so that back is running downhill. Now, obviously, they're pushing against a guy holding a pad, right? But this is, again, to create the right instincts, to create the right footwork, hand placement, body placement, so that when you get against a guy in front of you, now you know exactly what your body is supposed to do. There's your double team and tag off to the middle linebacker. Footwork, just things that you know. When you call a play, you got a secure block for your tackle as a guard, and then you come off onto the inside linebacker. And every team does this, but it's what your intentions are as a team here in your execution and doing what the coaches want you to do and your belief in it.
Yeah, and this is all part of the ramp up and the preparation for next week when the team is going to put on some pads. All right, that's a look in at day 3 of training camp with the New York Giants. For Carl Banks, I'm Bob Papa. Thank you so much for joining us for the Giants Training Camp Report, brought to you by Investors Bank.